It's time for PetSylvania with Dr. Bob Esplin. Dr. Bob guides you through the latest veterinary techniques and procedures to keep your pets in the best of health. PetSylvania is brought to you by Elanco, maker of Trifexis and Comfortis. With your ears up and tails wagging, here is Dr. Bob.
Good morning, pet lovers. It's another edition of PetSylvania. I'm Dr. Bob. I'm really happy to be here. Downtown Sylvania is one really cool place, and I just stopped by Chandler's Cafe downtown, got a banana mango smoothie. I would highly recommend that. Got a bar, cocktails in the evening. It's really it's a great place to go in, have a meeting, go in, have a nice lunch, good quality food, very attractive wait staff as well, if I might add. Not that I ever look at that kind of stuff. Esplin Medical is one of our 4 sponsors. They are makers of premium, environmentally friendly surgical scrubs. They are 55% bamboo, 25% cotton, and 20% poly. That makes them 80% all-natural fiber, renewable resource. They breathe when you wear them, so they're more comfortable. It's like wearing PJs. Bamboo is naturally antimicrobial and stain-resistant. They wash and clean up in cold water and dry on fluff dry very quickly, helping save electricity and another step toward helping the environment. Elanco, the makers of Trifexis. We are in the heart of flea season. Heartworm, a mosquito-transmitted disease, and internal parasites are always a concern. Trifexis gets all of those. It's one pill once a month. Nothing topically needed. If you have a tick issue, if you're concerned about ticks, we have other approaches so that you can use Trifexis, but you just need to contact us, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about prices on Trifexis. It replaces 2 products, pill that you give once a month for heartworm, and then something topical for fleas and ticks. You don't need to use that topical in most cases in Northwest Ohio. Our prices are substantially better. Just to give you a comparison, for the same size 6-pack, 20 to 40 pounds, Sylvania Vet's price on Trifexis is $88.62, and we found the next best price was $99, and we actually found the same 6-pack in another practice at $119.50. You have to be a client of Sylvania Vet if you want to get the benefit of those great prices, and our prices on Heartgard and Frontline are equally good. Hills, which is the makers of Science Diet and Prescription Diet, scientifically formulated super premium and specialty diets, great products. One of only 4 true nutritional companies that actually invest an annual basis in scientific research, learning what's the best product to feed, and they're also constantly looking at products on the market to see if there's any way to fit them. Hills makes a food that will fit any niche that you might want. And then Sylvania Vet, final sponsor, 24/7, 365 care to our clients. We're the only practice that is a pet's full-time doctor. In an emergency, do you want to trust your pet to a stranger or a place that's kind of hard to find and out of the way? Do you want to come to Sylvania Vet, be a client of Sylvania Vet, and have our emergency service and our broad spectrum of other services available to you 24/7, 365. If you want to learn more, stop in, take a tour anytime, but you can go to 13abc.com and click on Get Connected. You'll learn a lot more by viewing the 3-minute video that is displayed on that. I have a handout that I'm going to highlight a little bit of, and if you'd like to see the whole handout, you're welcome to stop in and ask for cat facts, enable you to read all of them. What you're going to learn in cat facts is why your cat, even if it's a 100% indoor cat, should visit the vet every year and should have an annual stool check done every year. Roundworm eggs can be carried into your home by mice, by flies, and God forbid, and yucky, cockroaches. We all have flies. Hopefully none of us have any of those other 2, but it just tells us that there are ways that you can bring it in. A study was done by somebody indicating that potting soil that we buy for our houseplants, 15% of the potting soil tested showed evidence of roundworm eggs. What's that tell us? Well, it tells us that we probably shouldn't let our dogs and cats dig in the flower pots, but it also tells us that you better wear gloves even when you're working on a houseplant if you're using potting soil. So from a public health standpoint, that's extremely important. An interesting fact about roundworms is that one adult roundworm can produce 24,000 eggs per day. So it doesn't take much to just really contaminate the soil. Fleas, you got a strictly indoor cat, and you don't have anything to worry about, right? No, wrong. Maybe you have a dog in the house. They can certainly bring the fleas in. So your cat needs flea protection, even if it's an indoor cat. You can literally carry it in on your clothing from the yard where it might be contaminated by fleas from feral cats or squirrels or rabbits. And you can also go visit your friends who happen to have a flea infestation in their house and bring it home on the clothes. I've seen that happen many times. We've actually had people come in the office to buy house treatment, and they don't even have a pet. You talk about a frustration level, that's right up there at the top. I love these little facts because they're just amazing. 25 female fleas in 30 days can produce 250,000 flea eggs. So it wouldn't take much to really get your house fested, so you want to stay on top of that. I highly advise the use of a flea comb as a grooming tool and also a diagnostic tool in your pets, just to make sure that fleas haven't jumped on and now are now a passenger on your pet. In a cat, one adult heartworm can be fatal to the cat, and sometimes the only clinical sign that we see is a sudden death. At that point, it's too late for us to help, and there is no treatment, so prevention is the key. There have been studies that indicate that 25% of the indoor cats with heartworm have never been outside. It's those pesky mosquitoes that get in and buzz your head when you're trying to go to sleep and end up biting your cat and transmitting heartworm to your strictly indoor cat. In the early stages of heartworm disease, they did a bunch of tests in New York, and they found that 20% of the positive cats that they tested had never been outdoors. Many of them had lived in high-rises, had never even been on a deck. We strongly recommend that you use Revolution topical applicator for cats once a month around the clock for heartworm, for flea, and internal parasite control. So it's Trifexis for dogs, Revolution for cats. Our office at Sylvania Vet, we're often accused of being expensive, and the bottom line tells a different story. We compare fees from other practices many times and find that even some of the practices cause you to pay a fee, and then you're part of their discount plan. You get your discounts. The fees, the bottom line fee is still the same. Remember, we all have fixed expenses, and we all have to, we all get to the same place. It's just a function of how do we get there. We rely on fair fees. The things that make it fair for all of us. But we also rely on being a thorough diagnostician, and that's how we plan to make our money. We don't make a ton of money, and we don't try to make a ton of money off of selling products. You heard earlier about the prices on the Trifexis, and that's true across the board. Our markup is dramatically less. You also, what do you pay for when you come to Sylvania Vet? Well, you pay to for our advanced care. You pay for our 24/7 care. You pay for the fact that there's over 30 employees that are receiving health care benefits, and there aren't many small businesses that are taking their employees' well-being into account the way Sylvania Vet is. So we'd love you to be a client, and so that's enough of the Sylvania Vet commercial, and it's time to take a break. Something kind of cool is happening in the Toledo City paper, June 6th edition. It's going to have a feature called Top Docs. And Dr. Bob and myself and Sylvania Vet are going to be highlighted. And as a matter of fact, I just talked with the editor today and finalized the copy that's going to be used. And they were out the other day taking a picture. So we're going to be in there. And it's always nice to receive that publicity. And in my mind, I think that we had mentioned that, and you'll see where I really appreciate the fact that we've been voted best vet in Northwest Ohio for 6 years running by the readers at Toledo City paper. But we were also voted for the second year in a row best vet in Northwest Ohio, Toledo Parent News, and both of those are published by the people at Toledo City Paper. Toledo City Paper is a great product. It's a great read. It's a local paper. It needs, it's free, so you can't beat the price. And they have lots of great information about our area and our community. And It's interesting that Northwest Ohio gets a really bad rap, and a lot of people want to move away, particularly the young people, but the number of young people that ultimately come back and find out that the grass isn't always greener is pretty amazing. I always say that Toledo, Northwest Ohio is kind of like an unpolished diamond. If we ever start to polish it up, if we ever get people in the government that recognize, what we really have, transportation, access to water, north, south, east, and west, within 400 miles, about 2/3 of the nation's population is accessible to Toledo. We're going to grow. We have great people here, and I'm a big supporter of Northwest Ohio. Diverged a little bit from our top docs thing, but I just love to give a little commercial to the area. I'm a big supporter of Sylvania itself, of course, because this is where I make my living and this is where I live, but Northwest Ohio in general. And we find it difficult when we want to hire a new doctor to attract people that want to come and interview, because Toledo has such a bad reputation. Once we get them here, they don't want to leave. They really like it. There's lots of approaches to training your dog. Over the years, philosophies have changed. The old school way was a dominant submission kind of approach to managing your dog, and it's the method that the dog whisperer on TV, Cesar Millan, uses. Well, it should be interesting to you to know that there are 4 veterinary behavioral organizations worldwide. All 4 of those associations have issued in writing statements saying that method is no longer appropriate and should no longer be used. They have morphed the way of training to a way that would be considered positive. For me, over the years, as we've talked about training and behavior management in our dogs, I've also, feel like an old dog, me, can learn new tricks, and we've changed completely how we approach things. Our in-house dog training is called a positive dog training. We rely on teaching them what we expect and what we want them to do, because dogs don't understand. They're punished what they're supposed to do. They don't think intellectually, and as a result of not thinking intellectually, they can't draw the conclusion, oh yes, I know I was supposed to potty outside rather than potty in the grass, or oh, I know I shouldn't pull along the street because you really want me to walk by your leg. And so by teaching it the proper way of doing things and putting an emphasis on the positive and trying to create situations where we can avoid the negative activity, what we're going to do is go a long, long way towards training better dogs that are less likely to react negatively in a stressful situation, less likely to snap or bite if they're surprised out of their sleep, because they've never been punished, so they don't particularly look at that as being a stressful thing. Of course, nobody likes to get waken up out of a dead sleep. So, obviously what you really need to do is take your time and approach your dog, and if it's sleeping, and let them know that you're coming, so that it isn't a sudden thing, and have it sleep. If you've got young children and toddlers at home, find a place out of the way for it to sleep so it doesn't get, run over by accident by a roaring toddler. My grandson Braden has all of a sudden learned how to walk, and he thinks he's a running back for the Lions at this point. He goes long and hard. So we've got the dog, our dogs and his dog at home, Bella, tucked out of the way, when he's up cruising around on the floor. So remember this: punishment does no good. Let's teach your dog the right way of doing things. Should your dog or cat start to squint, tear from their eye, paw at their eye, tilt their head a little bit, and you look and it certainly appears that there's problem with the eye, I consider that a true emergency, because eye injuries, particularly a scratch or something worse on the cornea, can be it's very painful. We all know what it's like when we get just a piece of hair in our eye. And so the important thing is to get it in right away, and that's where you're going to need to call us. And if you're a client, we're going to bring a doctor in from home if it's after after hours, so that that eye can be examined and we can get some treatment and some pain management and some pain relief started right away. The sooner that we can get on an eye injury, faster it's going to have an opportunity to heal, the less painful it's going to be, and the less scarring that there will be as well. And we don't want, a badly scarred eye. In our opinion, at Sylvania Vet, all dogs should receive canine influenza virus vaccine. A few weeks ago in the Blade, the Ask the Vet column made a statement that disagrees with that statement. And obviously everybody in veterinary medicine has opinions. I certainly have mine. You've learned that over the months that I've been on the air. What I felt that the article, when he said that not all dogs need CIV vaccine, I think that what he failed to mention, and he really didn't mention any of this, is that right now we're lucky we have not had canine influenza virus in Northwest Ohio. And so that's good. The bad of that is that there is we have a totally naive population. If it comes in and starts to spread, we're going to have a lot of dogs that are going to get exposed, and exposure can occur by direct contact with the affected dog, airborne, and on your clothing. If you had exposure, the 25% of the dogs that transmit that virus are asymptomatic, and so you can't even say, well, he was around some dogs, but they all were healthy, because that could be an issue. There was sort of a diminishing statement about the severity of the disease. Well, here's the reality: about 5% of the dogs that get CIV die. That's a huge number. You go to a party and there's 100 people there. In the next month, 5 of them are going to be dead because they've all gotten exposed to a flu virus. You'd be pretty distressed about that. The health officials would be all over it, worrying about an epidemic. Well, so I consider that number epidemic proportions in our pet population, and as a result, I really believe that it should. That's why we should get the vaccine. Recognize that it takes about a month from the time we start the vaccine series, 2 shots given 3 weeks apart. It takes about a month to establish immunity that will protect the dog. Now, it's not 100% protective, but it's going to dramatically reduce the severity of the disease should there be an exposure and they break with it. It will prevent dogs about 80% of the vaccinated dogs will not get the disease. But the other thing that it will prevent is the significant amount of permanent damage that's done to the lungs that occurs when a dog has had the CIV vaccine. Well, it's time for a break, and then we'll be back. Well, I'm back, and we're going to wrap it up here. As a pet owner, something that I want you to think about, and that is veterinary hospitals, unlike human hospitals, are not routinely inspected by any regulatory agency of the state. And that means that there's nobody holding them to the standards of excellence, holding them to the standards of hygiene, holding them to standards of sterility. Only organization that actually does on-site inspections is the American Animal Hospital Association. They come every 3 years and they inspect veterinary practices that are members of the AAHA and have been or are applying for certification. In Northwest Ohio, there's somewhere in the range of 45 to 50 veterinary hospitals. Out of that 45 to 50 facilities, only 3 are certified members of the American Animal Hospital Association. Sylvania Vet has been a AAHA certified hospital, so we've had many inspections since 1978. And then the other 2, one is the emergency clinic and the other is Holly Farms Animal Care. They've all been since the late 90s. They're there, and I'm happy because I think that I can be comfortable that the quality of care that's coming out of those facilities is really excellent. And that should be reassuring to you, and it should be another reason why you would think about Sylvania Vet or Holly Farms. The emergency clinic, of course, you don't go there for regular care. And if you're a Sylvania Vet client, you don't go there for emergency care, but anybody else would have to go there and know that they're going to meet the highest standards of the profession as well. Well, that wraps it up for today. We're going to thank our sponsors, Esplin Medical, You may purchase Esplin Medical Scrubs. We carry a full supply of the 4 colors: Seal Blue, Navy Blue, Caribbean Blue, and Jade Green, and the 3 styles of tops and the unisex bottoms at Sylvania Vet. Toledo Family Pharmacy carries a full set of both Navy and Caribbean, so you can get that. Toledo Family Pharmacy on Sylvania Avenue. And then certainly online at www.esplinmedical.com. When you've worn a pair of Esplin Medical Scrubs, you will not want to wear another pair of scrubs. Elanco, makers of Trifexis, heartworm, internal parasite, flea control in one once-a-month pill. Great product. Hills, the maker of high-quality, scientifically formulated, constantly being reviewed and improved products. The 2 things that are newest in their group are food through the Science Diet line called Ideal Balance, all natural. They have 2 forms that are grain-free. We carry a brown rice salmon Ideal Balance, great product, and then Metabolic Diet, which is a great product. And then, of course, Sylvania Vet. Not only do we provide 24/7 emergency availability for our clients, but anybody can come to our obedience classes. They can use our daycare. They can come in and inspect the daycare and get a free intro to daycare. I think you'll be impressed because there's always somebody on the floor, at least one person interacting with the animal, and when they're outside, there's always one person out there providing supervision. We limit the number of animals so that we're not overcrowded. We're not proud about how many. We're proud about the fact that these animals are well cared for, that there's a lot of personal attention, that our staff back there knows all these pets and knows all the clients. That personal attention cannot be beat. With that said, there's only one greatest pet, and it lives in your home.
You have been listening to PetSylvania with Dr. Bob Esplin on WSYLradio.com. PetSylvania is brought to you by Elanco, maker of Trifexis and Comfortis. Tune in every Saturday at 10 a.m. as Dr. Bob explains the latest in veterinary care and answers your questions. You can email your pet questions to requests@WSYLradio.com, and Dr. Bob will answer them on a future show.